live off the land like he's been doing for 50 years. From New York City, I'll let him tell the story. I don't want to steal it. Came from New York City to Meigs County, live off the land. So I don't know that I want to tell you much more because I think it's his story. So let me just update you. Our next one of these lunches, I believe, is going to be in August. And we're going to have Aaron from from Ohio University's Alton Library, who's been digitizing the W.E. Peters collection that they have in their archives up there. I don't know if you guys know about W.E. Peters, but he knew more about Athens County than everybody else in Athens County ever put together. Seems like, wouldn't you agree? So he mapped it all out and wrote all about it, and so she's been digitizing it. It's been kind of lost in boxes called the W. Peters papers. But it's measured in cubic feet, not in numbers of volumes. So anyway, she'll be helping tell that story for us in August. I don't know what the date is yet, but we'll get it out there for us. So anyway, thank you all for coming, and Paul Straus.
Start with something simple. And they use all the time is the tools. I've had these tools for 40 years. They've never broken, they've never done anything, and I can always count on them. This is a poacher spade, so you might be or Shallow Goldenfield. This is more of a nursery spade, and you can feel how heavy it is. And it's nice to have a heavy shovel when you're down. So that's a lot lighter.
Yeah,
Challenges.
What company are you
California, I don't know the name off. I've been using it for 4 years. They've never broken anything. But that's pretty good. Yeah. Use it another 4 years. So people can, you can ask me any question you want. I've had a very interesting life. And that's a picture of my muse. And the farmhouse is 160 years old. Muse lived to about 43 years of age. It's really good. That's because I treated him. And Jerry is so fond of apples, I can just yell apples. Here you come right to the fence and start handing apples, and he just starts foaming. Very entertaining. Very entertaining. You can see how much bigger the red is. When you plow with the team, every time you come around, the mule drops in a furrow and keeps everything straight. And I can just, after that, just grab this and this and that. 160-year-old house. Rebuilt all of that. Rebuilt all the barns. Rebuilt the fields. Put 6 to 8 ponds on it. Because the ponds, I have hillside property, so I got the small ponds on the hillside property. Just gravity feeds all the gardens, all the herb beds, everything. Gravity's a really good friend. I'm sure all of you know the slippery elm. See how large its leaves are compared to American elm. Somewhere here. This plant has the same nutrition as oatmeal. George Washington's troops could stay alive on the winter valley of 1776. So you can see American elm has much smaller leaves, slippery elm much larger leaves, and a good way to identify slippery elm is that. Now you know. It's like a Velcro there. I wouldn't want to live without this plant. This plant is disappearing now, like a lot of the elms. Dutch elm disease, unflown necrosis. I think myself and my neighbors probably have 20 of these slippery elm trees left, and all the rest are dying. There's nothing I can do about it. Nothing at all. I wish I knew something to do about it.
And Paul, is that the Dutch elm disease gets slippery elm too?
Yeah, Dutch elm tree disease and elm slung necrosis is another disease that gets all the elms. But for some reason, slippery elm is dying faster than even American elm right now.
But Paul, you have done a lot about it because you taught generations of my students.
What's that?
You taught generations of my students, years and years and years of my students about this plant and how to use it, and even how to use it as it doesn't even grow very big now, but on your twigs or your harvesting and pruning. So you have done a lot about educating the
Well, when you harvest, you only harvest the limb, you don't harvest the bottom. And how you take care of your plants is really important, how you harvest is really important. I'm lucky enough to have a greenhouse that I can store all my plants in the spring of the year, but also it's a great dryer. So I can dry all the herbs too. Slippery elm, and you would only dry non-aromatic herbs in the greenhouse. All the oils come off. Slippery elm has no oils, so you just dry it right in there, and it dries probably in an hour to a hot day. And the way you get it is inner bark. Use these draw knives. This one's probably 100 years old. The camp is the angle, so I'm taking off the outer bark right there. This has the same properties as oak, the inner bark of this plant. George Washington's troops were able to stay alive. Would anyone like to try this? Try the bark?
Sure. Is there butter and brown sugar with that?
Is what?
Butter and brown sugar with that?
Oh, yeah. What are you doing on that? Someone want to try this? Put it in their mouth. It's mucilaginous.
Sure. I'll try it.
You can even just feeling it, feel the mucilage.
Oh, wow.
You just feel the formula just incredible. I don't know what about that. And this plant in conjunction with gold here is just the best stuff. You can combine. You can't find those?
No, slip down.
Well, I can find it. But I'll understand. Quick. So I have only 2 or 3 slippery elm trees with about this size. And every week I go and look at the limbs and see if they're trying to die. Even when they're dying, you can use the inner bark for about half the year. This is nettles root, stinking nettles root. And for any men that have prostate problems, that's your cure. You have that problem, prostate? No. You're really lucky. And you can use it as tea or a tincture. This is blackberry root. And it will shut diarrhea down right now. I had a beautiful milk cow. I got her about 3 years old. She was a Jersey. First calf. Looked like she was doing real well. The milk was so rich that she got scalds. In other words, she couldn't stop shitting. So she would die, of course. So I called my friend Bill Concha. Bill was the person I call my physical plane teacher. Really not a spiritual teacher. But he had a lot to teach me because 12 years old, he was working his farm and his family was working the farm I bought. So I got a lot of information. On that farm, there's a historic cave. And even to this day, I find arrowheads and spear points down in it. It's not like the Southwest where the caves are dry. This cave, of course, has moisture in it. And part of the history of this cave, there was a convict who escaped the Lucasville Penitentiary, knew about the cave, and moved in there late one winter and thought he could live in there. And this is in the 30s, so I wasn't that old. Was I ever 30? And there's a box spring down there, and I tried to figure out how he could live there because it's facing north and west in the winter. Well, the cave has it's angled, so wherever he had smoke, it would just be like a chimney, it would just follow the cave right out. And then the way I could figure out how he lived in there. He made it for about a year, maybe a little bit more, and then he got tired in the winter, and he made a mistake of going down the holler and getting the neighbor's chicken coop and stealing chickens. They caught him and went back to the penitentiary. That's part of the history of the cave, too. The cave's name is the Cave of the Fallen Cow. Right above that cave, which is in a good winter, you get a 50, 60-foot icicle there. And you could, Bill used to keep almost 20 cattle in there too, because it wouldn't get the high winds and all that. And there was a ton of basswood around it, which is a beautiful, beautiful species, basswood. It's more like our balsa wood, basswood. And the species is going out because they use that to make model planes, architecture, to build buildings. So it's incredible plant. And it's dying also. The amount of things I've seen dying right now is horrific. And I don't know what to do about that. Got any ideas? So there are 8 ponds on the property. The main pond I dug sits right over the cave, and its overflow creates a 60-foot waterfall. And in a good February, that icicle will get 20 feet wide, 60 foot tall, because the spring water is warmer than the icicle. It falls in the icicle, creating straw, and you can watch all the liquid going down the middle of the icicle. That's pretty cool. Yeah. So I always wanted to be able to not need anybody. So the first thing I did when I got to the farm was I could buy 50 tons of turkey manure for $100. And that's how there's nothing like bird manure or bad corn. The nitrogen contents are really high, so it's a great plant to know how to use, really. Then I had to rebuild the house, I had to rebuild all the barns, and I had a lot of people who knew more than I did about those things, so they were also my physical plant teachers because I could learn from them. Bill Claunch taught me how to use a team of mules, how to build harness, how to shoot horses. He taught me about everything I needed. And he lived right up the road on Heisel Run Road, and he knew he wanted to meet me because I already had a fence and I had horses in there, so he wanted to meet me and I wanted to meet him. So I had long hair back then. This is 70, 71. And long hair didn't do you damn bit of good in Meigs County. You hated for it. So they killed all my puppies. I was raising wolf huskies. Beautiful animals. And when I was in town one day in Pomeroy, I just shot every single puppy. So I didn't even know if it was worth living there at all anymore. The next day I just dazed, totally dazed, even finding dead puppies. It didn't kill them all. So I didn't know what to do, so I took a walk up the road the next day, and I hear this voice go, "Ginger! Oh, get up, brother!" That's Bill's voice, a lot deeper than mine is. And verbally, it hardly need rings. He just was a G and Hom, a good team horse or mule, and just, they got it. They got it. And I went to Kentucky with Bill to find the black mule, that was Jerry. And, I don't know the picture, it doesn't matter, I believe it's around somewhere. There it is. You can pass that around. Right now, I'm having a problem with the first pond I built, that's Hart Pond, and it sits right over the cave. Just pass it around, we include mules. Jerry's a black mule, a little smaller than Red, who's the red mule. And every time you come around, the one mule gets where they just plow in an open row, and just put them right in that, it keeps your rows perfectly straight. And I had a little disc I could pull just Jerry. It was big enough so I could disc my gardens down also. So walking up the road, I hear Bill going G and haw, and I'm just kind of trying to hide myself by the fence. It's just amazing to watch him. And he knew I was there, of course. And he brings the team around once, twice, and I could hear the sound of the roots popping in the field. By the time he brought him up to me, I could see the foam all over him. Bill just laid the plow for like he probably did 100 times. He was 12 years old, and he was way bigger than me. His father was 65. And most of the people in the area I live are from Irish descent, Irish and Scotch. So Bill became my teacher. And he asked me, "Oh, how you doing? I saw you had mules there, I saw you had horses," and we started talking mules and horses. Of course, Bill had been doing this for 30 or 40 years before I met him. And he said, "How are you doing?" I said, "Well, I just had all my puppies killed on my front porch." He goes, "Oh, I think I knew who did that. Oh, why don't you come up for dinner tonight? And my wife and I will cook you dinner." Wow, this is great. He didn't care that I had a hobby. He only cared that I had no horse and mules. So we go up to eat at Bill's house one night, one evening. Very excited. I was living in another couple there too. And I hear a truck coming right behind me. Truck slows down, window goes down. Guy puts a Bowie knife right at my throat. Just like that. He said, "We're the guys who killed your puppies. We're going to cut all your hair." This is the first year I lived in Meigs County. Doesn't look good. So my friends ran up. They knew where Bill's house was and said, "Paul's in trouble." Well, Bill either turns his hat to the left or the right. If Bill turns his hand to the left, you don't want to be near this man. You just don't. Even at 12 years old, he was hugely strong. If I could pick up him. So Bill, I hear him flying down the road in his red Dodge, everything splattering all over the rocks and everything. So I'm right here with the guy with a knife in my throat, with Bill on the other side. This is a movie. Bill looks at those guys, lights a Camel cigarette, smoked 3 packs of Camels a day, 2 packs some days. So he smokes a cigarette, and he's just blowing smoke in this guy's face. Without looking at him, he says, "Paul, I'll tell you what we're going to do. You take this crowbar, I'll take this hammer, we're going to kick their ass." That's what we did. When he handed me the crowbar, I smashed the guy's window out. And knowing that Bill knew me, they would never touch me again. We didn't mess with this man. Bill had everything to do with building the round building in Athens. He was a construction worker. He worked there for years to that building.
What round building? What round building?
There's a round building that has a gymnasium as you come into Athens area. And there's a log cabin just before you get to that building, which is a beautiful log cabin. Beautiful. So, Bill wanted to show me his garden. You go up and look at his garden, nothing like my garden. Basically, most people tomatoes, beans, some potatoes, and some people do sweet potatoes too. I like sweet potatoes a lot better than I do white potatoes. It's good. What I'm doing here, and I'm getting at the inner bark, which is mucilage. I've tried, I can cut other pieces off if people want to try this. It tastes pretty good, really. It tastes pretty good. And when I cut a limb, I never cut the tree, so I'm just cutting a limb that's on the tree. And slippery elm has especially large leaves compared to American elm, which has very small leaves. And you can feel the Velcro on it, where the American elm is smooth, slippery elm. That's why you can slap it on the head and act like an idiot. And this is American elm, and American elm was used to build automobiles 50, 70 years ago. For some reason, it was a very fibrous wood and didn't break, so a lot of the vehicles had doors and stuff that were made out of American elm. This is just some of the ginseng that I've dug off my farm the last couple of years. You're welcome to look at it. What you want to look at, they all, you can tell their age. Each notch is a year in the ginseng life. This is about a 20-year-old root. And Chinese slow roots that look like human beings. So every fall of the year, I had a daughter living in the Bay Area. I would take all my ginseng to San Francisco, Chinatown, and go in there. And the first thing I saw when you walk into a apothecary in Chinatown was the back door open. There was 20 or 30 women sitting there trimming ginseng. And they cut off the tops, of course, and they had to make it look a certain way because Chinese love ginseng. But you can pass this around and look at it and feel it, and you can tell how concentrated. You never want to clean your ginseng totally up so it's white. You want it to look a little bit wild. So there's a root. There you go. One different, huh? And no ginseng looks like another ginseng. So I found a really giant one on my place, about that big. So I got really lucky, and I was visiting my daughter in San Francisco. So I was just going to all the apothecaries on Market Street and checking them out, you know. And when he saw I had the giant roots, he was going, "Oh my God, my grandmother needs that. My father needs that. My wife needs that. Well, I'm not selling." So I just walk out on a crowded street. He comes running right after me, right up the street. Say, "I've got to have that root." "Nope. I'll give you $500. Yep. So I needed that $500. Right now I have 5 or 6 ponds, and that's because I have little hills and little valleys, and all those valleys I put a pond in. So I never need a valve or anything. I can just open it up, and that water runs to any number of gardens, runs to my fields, runs to my tomato patch. All I have to do is open the valve. That's worked out real well for me. Right now I'm having a problem. One of the ponds got a weed, an American pond weed. It feels like a sponge under your feet. And it has like a grass that comes up. It must have gotten in there because 2 years ago, any pond that you have that's over 40, 45 years old needs the muck cleared out of the bottom. So I think what happened was, it took days to drain the pond. I had to get a trailer that has a giant 4-inch pump on it. And even with that, it took 5 days to drain the pond down. And so we can get in there and get all that muck out and make a better pond. And I also rented between, I've always put islands in my pond. Just, it's a great thing. And Maximilian Sunflower, Maximilian was the actual prince of Germany, just fell in love with First Nations people. And there's a plant named Maximilian Sunflower. And I've got it all over my island now too. And it's got, each plant's got 20 to 50 beautiful yellow blooms on it. And it's doing real well. So I'm glad I put an island on that pond. I've also stocked the pond. And I don't stock it anymore with catfish, which just make your pond even muddier. Right now they're just minnows and some bluegills in there. The bass I decided not to put back in there.
So why did you think that was the cause of this invasive?
Well, because once you get all the water out of there, then we didn't go back into the pond for a while. We got this American pond. So if you have a backhoe or something in there, it gets caught up in the tracks of the backhoe, the plant itself, and that's how it got in the pond. It's not that bad. I'll swim right through it and stuff, and when you step on it, it feels like a sponge. And that's why there's so many big frogs in the pond now. They just have all that safety getting under the American pond. So I kind of like it now. People have any questions, or I'm just going to go on?
I have a question on your pond. You don't have to stock it. The fish come by themselves from the birds and they bring some eggs from another pond. So, I mean, I have a natural pond and I have all kinds of stuff in there which I didn't put in.
What's in your pond?
Fish, I didn't put in. So,
And how the fish get there if you didn't put it in
no. I think they just come in when they are somewhere swimming around, they get some fish eggs on their legs and then dip into my pond, the eggs drop and I have another fish.
You ever get blue herons in your pond?
Yes,
You know how they feed?
they eat the fish.
Well, they do it this particular way. They've got 3 large toes, and one toe's, they can just wiggle it. Fish comes there, they've got the fish. So they have a bait just right on their feet. Of course, they're beautiful flyers. Love seeing them. They really like being loved, though.
Yeah, I've seen them there. I mean, it's early morning.
Yes.
I mean, they're very pretty. I'm not so happy when I got one of the goldfish I put in. But I mean, I put in fish, but I have now a ton of things I did not put in, and I think they have to be brought in by other birds, kind of drinking and doing stuff, and just dropping eggs, and then they multiply.
Yep. Do you swim in that pond?
No.
Could it have fish in it?
No, because there might be a snapping turtle here.
If you that pond a while, there is a snapping turtle.
I've tried to fish snapping turtles.
Well, the food they like the best liver. That's how people
I
get
tried
snapping turtles. Wow.
They're awful animals, awful.
They're prehistoric. They're 200,000 years
I know.
old. They got love them. I know.
You put carp through on your thing, or they just muddy like cat?
The carp gets so big,
Yeah.
you have to, they're this big.
Okay.
That big, I have one.
Grass carp. But as they get bigger and bigger, they eat less and less of algae and stuff.
Okay.
So every couple of years, I buy 9 or 10 new fish, and put them in the pond. Now, I thought they'd eat this pond weed, but they're not eating it. But the frog population is unbelievable. Just huge bullfrogs singing in concerto all around the pond, so I'm really happy to hear that. And the tadpoles love this plant, because they have protection by just going on. All you people growing gardens?
Trying.
Trying?
Deer.
Fence, 8-foot fence, that's the problem.
That's a hazard. We're feeding weed.
You eat the deer?
I love venison, but we don't kill them.
Well, it's not hard to build a
But
fence.
they come right up to you. The deer will just stand there and look at you like.
The one
What
trick
do you
is,
do?
I have what is it, ukulele, one of these horns, and when they come, I just hunt the horn and go to them.
Oh.
And so that they know when they come close, the horn is hung, but I even now have to move, because if I just hung the horn, they just.
They're domestic.
But I mean, but I'm trying just to get in their brains, if they come, it's getting noisy if they come. I have a fence, but they are so athletic, they jump across.
How tall is the fence?
It's only that.
That's why they're jumping.
So what I'm trying to do, it's not the jumping off. I try to make the landing difficult so that I have cages and stuff in, because to the jump, it's jumping off, but the landing counts. And if they think they cannot land very well, that may prevent them of it. They only have to go to the middle.
If you put things that move, like tin pie plates, they tend to go with their legs.
Yeah,
So I keep
I have
around all
one
my
of these
tomatoes,
things-
little pie plates and string that moves.
I have one of these kind of things that turns,
Yeah.
But I think if they're desperate, they'll come anyway.
Yeah. There should be plenty of food.
Now we're talking about fence, can you talk about what's going on with black locust? I work with a lot of them.
Black locust has 2 diseases.
Yeah.
It's, they have a bug that eats the leaves late in the fall. The disease that kills black locust is the locust borer. And when you look at a locust tree, there's if it has a locust borer, it has a yellow polypore,
Yeah.
right? And it's not an edible mushroom. First Nations people cut a piece of that for headache, they put it on a stick, and they dealt with migraines with that. But if you see that, you got the locust borer, and that tree's not going to live for a long time. Sometimes you can cut the tree down, and there'll be a post or 2 at the top, but it's nice getting really big posts to make lumber out of. My next door neighbor, Paul Neidhart, has a beautiful mill, and I can bring any amount of logs over there, and he'll mill them, which is really handy. It's a great neighborhood where I live, probably 27 or 28 young children living there. A lot of people who are teaching their children really great stuff. It's a little community. There's a picture somewhere, it's probably in the book, of we burn a prairie at the sanctuary every year. And all the families come down from 3 and 4-year-old kids with pulling a rake, getting a fire going. But it's nice living in a community with a lot of young children. It's probably one of the best things that I can think about.
So when I draw that locust bark, the larva on the inside of the bark, that's the border.
Are you talking about locust here or something else?
Locust. When you draw that bark on locust, all the larvae sometimes on the inside, are those the border?
The borer has a hole, goes right in the tree. You see holes in it. And then you see the tree starting to die. There's enough borers. They'll make more of those yellow bellies. They call them yellow bellies, those mushrooms. Yeah. Now, I had so many locusts on my farm when I moved there, and this has been almost 50 years ago. I wasn't seeing any of that stuff. And they're venturing locust leaf miner and locust borer native there. And you're lucky if you get a single post. I was able to make my mortgage payments because I had a lot of really intact locusts. And we had a guy that could bring a big truck down, and he bought 300 posts from us every week. That's one of the ways I learned to use mules, because they get so smart. We were cutting posts way up on the top of the hill. I put them up on a snaking chain, tell the mule to get up, come all the way down, stop right by the pile, they go down there, unhook them, get back up there, Jerry, and just go right up the hill again, wait for us. Mules are way smarter than horses. They turn in half the radius of a horse. They can deal with hot weather way better than a horse. And they don't founder themselves. A horse will always founder themselves if they have access to sweet feed. And they might die if that happens. It's hard to see all these trees dying. I'm losing a lot of basswood right now. Of course, we're losing a lot of elms right now. Nothing I can do about that.
White oak seems to be dying in the top, too.
Yeah. Once you get the locust borer in there, it interrupts the flow of the nutrients to the leaves. And if you see a yellow polypore on that tree, that locust is not going to live long.
I'm thinking of oak trees, white oak trees, they seem to be getting sick too.
Yeah, they're in big trouble, white oak trees. So many plants are right now. I hope slippery elm, I'm losing a lot of slippery elms right now. Which is really bad since this has the same nutrients as oatmeal. And during winter of 1776, George Washington Straus told about slippery elm, and that's why they stayed alive, rather than eating their bootlaces and leather and belts. You can see they call it red elm. Look at that beautiful color right there. Slippery elm goes with the music.
Tell us about your book called
Okay.
The Bigger.
It has lots of stories about me growing up on the farm, how I learned about things, but also I've taken 50 of the most important species of trees around here, and I've wrote a short chapter about each of those, not to confuse people and put too much information. I think I've sold over 500 copies of that book. I'll just pass it around just a second here. And I don't expect you to buy anything, but you're not going to look at the pictures.
Good to keep on the side, I think.
Is that white flower, is that?
This is one of the most important herbs there is in Appalachia. This is yarrow.
Yeah.
Achillea milfoil. If you were Chinese, you'd cast I Ching using the stalks. If the I Ching, which is a Chinese divination, they cast coins, but they can also do it with yarrow stalks some way. I don't really know much about it, but people believe it. Yarrow has this incredible ability to stop bleeding. And if you're a Civil War soldier or a Revolutionary War soldier, they had just this satchel on their belt that was filled with powdered yarrow, just for wounds. So it's a really important plant. It grows beautifully, it smells good, and today I know at the farm we're making mullet garlic ear oil. And one of the herbs in there will be yarrow. If someone asked me what herb would you want the most, it would be yarrow. It has so many things you can do with the plant, yarrow. It kind of has a funky smell. I really don't care about that. Bees don't seem to work that much, but it's, as a matter of fact, I'll just pass that around and smell it, feel it. It's the best thing to do with a plant like that.
I don't see bees this year.
Well, I see a lot of bees. But I have beehives. That makes it easy.
I'm worried that they're dying.
Do you have any wild bee trees?
Wow.
Bee trees, hollow trees. So at your place, you just don't see bees?
I have these poppies that I grow. In the past years, they are swarming.
Is that an opium poppy with pink flowers? You probably have to see for me. There's no nectar in that. They work the pollen, and you seeing the bees that are working my poppies, right in the pollen basket right there is brown pollen. If you have a tulip poplar flower, that flower has 1 teaspoon of nectar. That's quite a bit. If you look at a poplar flower, you see an orange ring around the inside of that flower. That's an ultraviolet landing pattern for honeybees. I mean, if you haven't worked with bees, you might want to do it. It's just fascinating. Most people are scared. You just really have to know how to handle bees. And I've been doing this for a long time. And I would always want beehives around.
Where is your place in there?
It's on, in Meigs County, on Macomber Hill Road. It's just outside of Rutland, Ohio.
What country is that?
Rutland. Yeah, just a really small city.
Yeah, my grandfather grew up on Blue Street.
Yeah, and the tree goes right through Rutland. Yeah. Everybody growing gardens? What are you growing?
Kale, collard, chard,
The greens.
okra, cucumbers, tomatoes.
How your cucumbers doing?
They're great.
They're already getting green? Nice. Grow sweet potatoes?
No, not this year.
I think I grow way more sweet potatoes than white potatoes. It just tastes better to me. Way more vitamin A. I think I put out 60 sweet potato plants. Give me plenty of sweet potatoes. They don't store as well as a potato does in a root cell. So you have to have different kind of storage. Any other questions?
I was just going to mention, as far as pests go this year, it's been unreal. Things are getting bugs that I've never seen before. But for a year, we've been using blood meal to sprinkle on the lilies. Otherwise, the lilies get tough.
Yeah, they love those.
But blood meal they don't like,
No.
and it's nutritious. So that's worked well for us.
And you just put it in a plate or put it on the grass?
I just sprinkle it on the plants. And on the ground too. Yeah, just to keep them, they smell that. and they-
Many animals hate blood.
Right, except for me.
Your cat.
What do you have in that jar over there?
This is sassafras bark. Like black haw, the medicinal part is not just the root, it's the bark. So this is the bark of the root of sassafras, big sassafras. Grew over in the storm, and it was really easy to get the bark off.
So
I just love the smell of it. Howard Bark is the best smelling apple.
What can you do with sassafras?
Make tea.
From what?
The root, the bark of the root. Sassafras tea is an Appalachian tea. So you'd have to find your sassafras that you're willing to dig the root. So
Okay.
find your sassafras that's
I mean,
got
my neighbor has a next every year, sassafras like this. And so
That's
I'm
because
just,
it's stolen, Nick. Because it just needs seed. It's stolen if it grows where the roots produce new trees and sassafras really multiply.
so that's what I was wondering, what can I do? I mean, sure, I count them as the small ones, which I don't want, I just stuck them on
You don't really like sassafras, do you?
Well, I'm coming from a country where we don't have it, so I don't even know what to do with it.
Oh, it's good. Its flowers are delicious. Most people don't eat flowers. Sassafras flowers are over the top.
So where, I mean, I know sassafras is in root beer. So what part of
It's the
that?
root that's used.
So you have to dig up some root of the tree and get it
Correct.
out?
It's not that hard, you know, even a small sassafras, you can get it, through. It's pretty easy.
And they're not done?
Root?
Yeah.
And, well, it has some aromatic oil, so I don't put it in my greenhouse where it dries slippery out, but it dries pretty quickly. Right, really.
And you don't kill the tree by kind of cutting out root and stuff?
No, I use certain tools. Like this, like this, like this. This is a cleaver they use for cutting up herbs. I'm making medicine all the time. Well, I mean, I have a very successful business, even though it's botanicals, and we sell medicines. These are tools I would use to dig up ginseng.
What do the leaves of the ginseng plant look like?
That basket's running around with ginseng in it.
Yeah,
But it's
that's
got
roots.
five leaves.
Look at this t-shirt.
A t-shirt. That's it.
Who was asking?
Actually, this came from a dream that I wasn't quite asleep, but I was slowly coming into consciousness. And when I opened my eyes, I was in the woods. There was something in the woods that was moving, and that's the head of this little guy here. And I kept watching him, and he jumps up and he starts pulling the seeds because they're right below the leaves and sowing his own seeds. So that's how that t-shirt came to be.
Wow.
And where do they go, of course?
They like 70% shade. Golden seeds, 70% shade. All these valuable herbs are in 70% shade. So they need an intact forest with a lot of leaves on the top. Have any of you ever been to the sanctuary? Botanical sanctuary?
Is that in Rutland?
That is in Rutland.
The medicinal garden?
It's just one of the things we do. I put 2 or 3 big ponds on it, and they're really nice woods. We are now losing all of our biggest black oaks. And black oaks are so strong, trees this big are falling over. And you can't get those out of the woods, they're just too big. So I'm not sure what's happening. Why are these giant black oaks falling down? They are giant. And you're right, white oak's having a hard time also. A lot of things are. I think things are very unbalanced right now. That's why I try to grow as much food and medicine as I can. And, along my daughter is really helpful with all that. She's becoming a great herbalist herself. That's really nice to have. She's got her first baby now. Luna Magnolia. That's her name.
So, question about sassafras.
What's that?
Question about sassafras.
Yeah.
I been finding sassafras bigger percentages that is dying. Is that ants and the sugars of the wood, affiliated woodpeckers making holes and killing the tree?
That's one. Exactly.
I found one.
It was made really lost. Really good. Beautiful. In a long like that.
There's big ones out there, right? Paul's selling one of them, right?
Yes, he is. Yeah.
Is that going?
No, people breaking walk or something. That's stressing beautiful wood. Easy build. No delicious.
Do you prepare that, Paul, or do you just eat it right off the
I
tree?
just pulled right off the tree, put it in my mouth, so cheap. Because it has this great, it's not just a sweet taste, it's an aromatic taste. It's a sassafras. Sassafras, I hope I never see it all by. It's a fact, it's true. So I've got other rooty things here. This, I think I've already told you, these are the roots of stinging nettles. So this is the most important part for men as we go into for the prostate gland. And if you're over 40 or 50, you're going to have a problem with prostate gland. So this is a key right there. This is blackberry root. I just dug it up quickly the other day, and it'll take diarrhea away. Period. It's that astringent. The way I know that is,
How do you prepare that to,
I'm gonna tell you how to prepare that for a cow, anything.
okay,
Being a root, you're gonna boil it. If it was a leaf or a flower, you're not gonna do that. So you would clean the root, and then you would make a tea out of it, which would actually be not just tea, a concoction, all brown and oily on the top. And that's the part you use. So I had a milk cow there, a wonderful young cow, and her milk, she was a Jersey, was just too rich for her. So, what do? I call my son Bill Conchop. He's my physical play teacher. He's been doing this for years and years and years and years. He says, Paul, just dig yourself up some black, right? Black raspberry. Make a tea out of it. You should be making a concoction out of it. You want a really, really strong tea. Filter it. Put it in a pop jar. When a calf is weak, they're really weak. So you could actually just put their head back, and we have that dark tea in that pop bottle. Put it right in their mouth, and slowly just let it get down to their gut, which is what will happen. Diarrhea is gone. Children also, blackberry root is not going to just give you good blackberries. It is a medicine, and it deals with diarrhea. And a lot of people who eat like shit get diarrhea, stomach stuff. And it's, there's blackberry everywhere. I don't like blackberry because the seeds are so big and they say, do you like tea? Red raspberry, bring it on. Doesn't have big seeds.
Well, yeah, are you saying black cherry or black raspberry?
Blackberry. And it's really easy to find. It's got, I just dug these up the other day. They're really fibrous, they're nice. That's still got a lot of water in it. But this is something you might want to have at your home if you have young kids. Young kids get diarrhea all the time. This will shut it down. So astringent will just shut it down. Diarrhea is no fun to have, especially for a young kid.
Do you have to dry the root completely before you turn it into a tea?
That's the best way to do it. So basically, we have a tool like this, with the Falco. This is a tool you all want, by the way. Just like a good shovel, a good Falco, and a great shear. I always have one in the woods. So I just take that, cut it into small pieces, make a decoction. The decoction's a really dark tea, really brown, almost oily on it, and that's what you're going to use. And you can get this anywhere. I'm sure they're on everybody's farm. There's this plant.
Paul, you said to strain the concoction. You're straining out that oil then?
No, it goes.
It goes right through.
Big enough filter.
You're just getting the chunks out.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wrote that book probably about 7 or 8 years ago. Finally got some good pictures in it. And covers, I think, about 42 of the major trees in the area. And I write it, make it really easy for people to learn about that rather than very complex. I think I've sold over 700 copies of that book. A lot of young kids want this information now. And usually I get 4 or 5 universities that live on the farm with me. And they want to know everything. It's just great. They want to know how to use everything. So I'm always in the woods and digging stuff up and showing stuff to people. That poacher spade is a great light tool to carry, as opposed to this thing. This is just really easy to carry. It's really good jigs, good for any These baskets come from Vietnam, and they're smoked, so no bugs stay in them. So today we're going to be picking mullen flowers singly, and we'll pretty much much killed half of one of these mullet garlic here, which is getting to be one of our best sellers. In Australia, we're buying 5,000 jars. A lot of them. That's a lot of herbs to sell, 5,000 herbs in other countries. So I'm wondering what else they use them for besides ears. Because it has garlic in it, I think they figured out, especially in Australia, they're really outdoors, a lot of surfers, garlic's antibacterial, so they might be using it number one to kill bugs, but it's perfect in wounds also.
Do you use spice bush for anything?
Yeah, well, I was going to talk about that, but it's a sad story, I'll tell you right now. Spicebush and sassafras are both from the laurel family. Guess what? The ambrosia beetle got to America from Southeast Asia. I couldn't stop it. So I am now losing all of my sassafras, and then the ambrosia beetle is going right over the spicebush, and it's dying too. Not over the whole farm, but a lot of the farm. There's just no way of controlling these bugs. No one's looking in those millions of containers that come into every port every day. That's how we get these bugs. So now I'm losing sassafras and spicebush. And spicebush, incredible plant. The birds love the berries. They transplant it. And it's dying. The two patches are right together. I can see it all happening. Nothing I can really do. Looking at a tree or a picture.
She reminded me of somebody I know. That is a great picture.
So that's the second dish.